With me now, and I want to describe him. So he's very jolly. He's got a jolly appearance about him. I want to say that this man would have had a heavy appearance. I feel that there's very, very little hair. Of course, I don't have any hair, but there was very, very little hair with this gentleman. He is showing me with glasses on his face. I feel his eyes were very light colored. He was a very, very fair-skinned man too. And I also want to say that this gentleman had a softness about him when he was in the living. Like he spoke very, very soft, and it took a lot to rattle him. And this feels like a father energy to me. I'm not quite sure where I am with this. Does this make sense to anybody? All right, and I got to work with it a little more because I feel him very, very closely here. I feel like I might be over here somewhere. So I have this gentleman here, and he was nerdy. Like, that's the only word I can use. Read a lot of books, was very, very self-taught, knew a lot of things about, like, he had a wide, broad knowledge of things, you know, not at a very intelligent level, but just on a very high level. He was always learning about new things. I feel like I'm over here with this. Does anybody understand this? No. This feels like a father energy to me. I feel like this gentleman passed from the world very, very quickly. It feels like a heart attack or congestive heart failure to me. And I also want to say that I feel like this gentleman had a connection to the northern part of the country. I feel like he either would have came from there. You understand this? Okay. Do you understand the way I've described him, please? What of the evidence that I have given so far do you understand?
The jolliness, I don't understand. But the north.
The way that I've described him?
He was a little bit heavier, but not. He had hair.
Okay. I can't make it fit, all right? But I want to make sure that I go back through all of this because there's nobody else in the room that can take it. So, you understand the glasses and the light-colored eyes and the fair skin? Do you understand the thin? It was not a lot thinning hair, like there was baldness. You understand that, okay? And you understand the connection to the northern part of the country. Okay, it's got to be you. So let me work with you. So, and father, please.
Yes.
Father. Okay. Heart attack, congestive heart failure? Okay, I think it's you. So I have this gentleman here, and I want to backtrack and talk a little bit because I want to make sure that we get that piece of evidence out. The nerdiness about him. You understand? Reading books all the time, trying to educate himself, because this gentleman is telling me that he was not a very well-educated man when he was a younger person. Do you understand that? In other words, I want to say that where he came from as a child, his education was not all there. Do you understand that? Then this gentleman is talking about taking books, learning how to read better. Does that make sense to you, please? Being able to assimilate knowledge through reading, because I feel like this was a very, very important thing to him. Do you understand that? You always saw this man sitting and reading. Does that make sense to you? Okay, and I also want to say that I feel like I am outdoors with him. He's showing me an outdoor kind of an atmosphere, and I feel like I am sitting outdoors either on a patio or someplace somewhere, and I'm on one of those lounger kind of things that you sit on. Do you understand that? You know the ones that unfold, and they've got like the plastic kind of tubing things on them. Do you understand? So you understand that, okay? And it looks like to be green and white. Every other one is green and white. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Are you related?
Yes.
Okay, so you understand who this is. Okay.
I have that chair.
You still have that chair. Okay, very good. So this was the chair that he sat in, please. You understand that? Okay, very good. Because he's showing me that chair, and
it falls over when you sit on it.
Okay, well I see him sitting in this chair and he's reading. That makes sense to you? Okay, all right. I want to make sure it makes sense to you. So. This is your husband? Was your husband? Okay, so your father, oh God. Okay, fabulous. All right. So, there is so much kindness with this man. Do you understand that? I feel like that it took a lot to rattle him. Do you understand that part? All right, then I got to figure out what he's trying to say to me with this. So give me just a moment here.
I'm not gonna do that.
That's what I'm still feeling with him, and I can't make it fit. And if it's you don't understand it, I'm going to have to move away from it because I feel like that this gentleman, prior to his passing, had a very kind-heartedness about him. Do you understand that, either one of you? You were shaking your head a minute ago, yes. So does this make sense to you? Okay, I'm not trying to make it fit, but this is what I'm feeling.
Yes, he would have thought that.
Okay, all right. And I also want to say that he's talking about somebody being there with him when he passed. Like he's saying, because I want to say that when this gentleman, I feel like there was a fall involved with his passing. Do you understand that? Like he fell. And I almost want to say that I feel like he fell on his left side. Do you understand this? And I feel like that there would have been either bruising on one side of his body that was noticeable when he passed. Do you understand that?
Oh, wasn't but that makes sense.
Does that make sense to you? You understand the fall, please?
Yes.
Okay.
I can tell you some more about that. It's very interesting.
Okay. Don't tell me anymore until I'm done. I'll let you fill in the blanks here in a minute. So, I feel too there's a bunch of children. Do you understand? Okay, because I'm feeling like there's a bunch of kids around him, and this is like a very, very important thing to him, and I'm talking like little kids. I feel like there's little kids around him, and he's either telling them stories or talking to them, or it's something to. You understand what I'm talking about? As long as you get it, I don't care. So I see that with him, and I feel like that it's like children gravitated towards him.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, because it's like he could bring himself down to their level, and he would like tell them little stories, and I even see this gentleman crouching down and talking to kids. Do you understand this? And just being very, very kind-hearted with them, and understanding them, and being patient with them. And when he gives me that, he's laughing because he's like, children, even though he had this kindness about him, he's like, children were the only ones I really had patience with. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Because he understood them. He understood them. Does that make sense to you? And and I'm feeling a lot of emotion with this person about these children. Does that make sense to you? Okay, because I feel as if though too, that you ladies still have some kind of a connection with these children. Do you understand that? Okay, because he's talking about that, and he's telling me that he's glad that you are continuing that. Does that make sense to you? And he's saying, because, you know, when I passed, I didn't want to leave my kids. Do you understand that? And that's what he's talking about. And I particularly want to say that there was a female, a little girl, that's in the midst of these kids that he really had a strong connection with. Do you understand that? And he is talking about that female, and it feels like an L name to me.
No.
Do you understand an L? I know this is a broad statement when you have a crowd of kids, but I feel like there's an L name associated with the children somehow, like a Lisa or a Lori or something of that nature involved with the kids. He's giving me that name, and I feel like it. And I feel like I'm really hearing this one. Does that make sense to you? All right, crap. I'll leave that with you then. I'm sorry?
There could be another one.
Okay, so this gentleman's passing, I feel like in the last 5 years or so, you understand that? Because this one feels like that one back there. It feels very, very fresh and very, very new to me. Do you understand that? So, this gentleman is saying to me, I don't want to be forgotten. Does that make sense to either one of you, please? Because there's some kind of a legacy with this gentleman and these kids. There's some like something he did for them, a charitable thing he did for them, or something he gave them. Do you understand this? And he's talking about that, and he's like, that brought me joy to do that. Do you understand? So that's what he's talking about. I'm going to knock this thing off the window, I swear. So that's what he is talking about, is he's saying, my children, I'm so glad that y'all are staying close to them. Does that make sense to you? And I also want to say that one of you does some kind of outings with them. Do you understand that? And I feel like I am outdoors somewhere, and I got to describe to you what I'm seeing. So I feel like I'm out either in a park or in a field or something like that, and I see a big, huge tree. Like I see this tree, and it's huge, and it goes up, and it's big, sprawling, you know, one of those big kind of tree of life looking kind of things that you know that you see. And I feel like that there's either a ball field or some kind of a field. When I'm standing and I'm looking at it, I feel like the ball field is off to the left over here and the tree is right here if I'm looking at it. Do you understand that?
No.
Okay, let me describe it a little more. That's what it looks like to me when I see it. And I also want to say that I feel like there's either a little creek or a little body of water that runs next to it. Do you understand this?
Yes.
And I feel like that this is a place where this gentleman went
Yes.
with these kids. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Okay, and I have to ask you please, because I feel as if though you're still going there, or you go to this place, and children are still at this place. Do you understand?
Well, I go there in mine.
Okay, all right. Let me see. Then I gotta get more. Let me see what this is about. I just feel, and you've already said this to me, but there is some kind of special significance to this place with this gentleman. Do you understand that? It's a place that was gone to repeatedly. It's a place where he would always go, and I feel like these kids went there with him. You understand? Okay, I just want to make sure that I say that. And I also want to say that when he died, I want to say that I feel like that there were, and again, this is a broad thing, but I feel like that there was some kind of a gratitude towards him about what he did when he was in the living. Do you understand that? Some kind of a celebration or something that somebody did in his honor and whatnot. And was it at this place, please? Because I feel like I'm close to this place where this took place.
It could have been, but one that I wasn't at. It could have been the one that no one.
Okay, so you understand. All right. And I also want to say about this gentleman, do you have? Is there another child, please? Another child? Is it a son? A male. Okay, because he is sending a lot of love towards that male, and I want to make sure that I bring that to you because he's telling me that sometimes he felt like he neglected him. Do you understand that? And he wants to make sure that I bring that through and say, I was so busy with all these other little kids that sometimes not so much you, do you understand? But your brother. It's like he's saying, I neglected him sometimes. And I want to make sure that I tell them that I am sending a lot of love to him because I want them to know that I do love him. Do you understand that? Okay. And I'm hearing another name. I'm hearing like a Jeffrey.
Yes.
You understand? Okay. I got one, thank you. All right. So, and I just heard that name in association with what we were talking about. That makes sense to you, please?
No, but with me, not my father, but that was my fiance.
Okay, all right. You understand the name. I just want to make, and your father would have known this person, please? I just want to make sure that we're getting the connection. Okay. So, I just want you to know that this gentleman is, and I want to say that I'm not saying that he's not this with you, but I feel this gentleman very, very close to you. Do you understand? And I want to say that this man is making himself known to you. You feel him around you. And I also have to ask you, please, or say to you, I feel like that you're feeling breezes or wind around you in association with him being around you. Do you understand that? Does that make sense to you? You feel it on your face. Do you understand? That's him trying to let you know that he is around. All right? Oh, and that's funny that when I started doing that, did he whistle a lot? Okay, all right. Because when I went, he says, yeah, I did that. I whistled. So you understand that, okay? And I also want to say about this gentleman, I feel too, and I feel like this might be, I might be addressing you with this. I feel like that very, very recently, you were either going through a box of pictures or a box of something, and you came across a photograph of him when he was very, very young.
Yes.
Do you understand that? Okay, and I'm talking like less than a week ago.
That's right.
All right, you understand. Because he's telling me that he wants you to know that when you found that picture, he was there watching what was going on with you, and he's wanting me to tell you that it was okay for you to emote. Because you were trying to hold it back when you found the photo. Do you understand that?
It was a photo of him holding her when she was first born.
All right. So you understand, though, about you looked at it and you wanted to cry, but you would not do it. Do you understand that? And he's saying, just emote. And when I ask him about this, he's saying that you don't do enough of that.
That's true.
You understand? And he's saying that you were always the tough one.
That's right.
And he's giggling when you say that. I want you to know. Because this gentleman was a very emotional man. Do you understand that? I feel like that this man would cry at the drop of a hat. Do you understand that? And the thing with the kids, he would always emote and cry about these children that were around him and whatnot. And you were the one that was always trying to keep it together while he's off blubbering around about kids. Do you understand that? Okay, so I want to make sure that I bring that to you. And he's wanting me to tell you that when you found that photograph, he was standing right there watching what was going on. So I want to make sure that you understand that. Okay? So, are you wanting to be a teacher?
No, but I do training.
Okay, all right, because he's talking about you teaching. And he's telling me that he's watching this with you and watching what you're doing with this. And he's wanting me to tell you that he's very, very proud that you have come out of your shell. Do you understand that? Because this thing that you do, training or teaching or whatever it is that you do, he's telling me that this has really made you be more outspoken to people. Do you understand that? Because when I ask him about this, he's saying, well, when she was a little girl, you couldn't even get her to say 2 words. Do you understand that? And now he's saying that you're up and you're talking and you're moving your hands and you're explaining things to people, and do you understand that? And he's saying that he's very, very proud that you were able to bring yourself out of that shell. Does that make sense to you, please? But I also want to say that I feel, and I'm reading you psychically here a little bit, I also want to say that I feel like you're not done with education. I think something is coming for you in education, and your father wants me to tell you to move forward with that. Do you understand? Either some schooling of some sort or something that you're doing, he's wanting me to tell you that you need to move forward with that. Do you understand that? Okay, so just stay on board with that. It's very, very important, okay? And I have to keep talking about this place that he keeps showing me where I saw the chair. So I want to describe this. Do you remember, oh God, now he's using something in my past to tell the story. So, do you remember how the houses used to have that asbestos siding on them? Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like that real flimsy, because my grandparents had it on their house, and that's what he's showing me. You know how it was, if you could easily break the siding on a house that was made out of asbestos, it would hit the ground and it would shatter in a million pieces. It was like chalk. Do you understand that? And I feel like I am at a house that is covered with that. Does that make sense to you, please? And I also want to say that I feel like that there's some green in the house. Do you understand that?
It's green.
Okay, thank you. And I also want to say that, you know those, it looks like a little house to me. Do you understand? Like, when I'm looking at it, I've got the door, and there's one window on either side of the door, and there's like a peak up at the top. And you know how you had those octagonal shaped kind of vent kind of things that were in the peak of a house? Do you understand that? Did it have that, please? Because I'm seeing that with this. And I also want to say that there were little steps, like a stoop, that you had to climb up to get to the front door. Do you understand that? And I'm seeing like those, you remember those awnings that they were like either made out of metal and they were striped and they would come down over the windows? Do you understand that? You understand that? And I feel like that this house had that. And I feel like that this is very significant to you more than anything. Do you understand that? I'm not saying it wasn't significant to you, but more so with you, and I feel like this was either the first place that you lived or it was the place that was very, very important about the two of you. Do you understand that? And he's talking about that, and when I said, why are you telling me this? He's like, because I want her to know that some of the best times in my life were in that house.
Okay.
Do you understand that? Okay. And he's talking about your cooking. Or the lack of.
Well,
And he's laughing when he says that.
he was really good at cooking out of the grill.
Okay, but he's saying that you weren't very good at it.
I made really good desserts.
Okay, all right. So just know that this gentleman, that was just another piece of evidence for him to bring through so that you knew that this was him. Just understand, I feel like the message was more for her, but he is here for both of you, but I feel like he really wanted to convey that to you, so I want to make sure that you understand that, okay? So just understand his presence around you, and what I want to say to this entire crowd is that Spirit is always around us. They're always there. Your loved ones are just a breath away. And the thing about it is that I don't feel that everybody has mediumistic ability to stand up and do what I do, but I do feel that we all have the ability to connect to our loved ones. And the reason being is that spirit to spirit and soul to soul connections are about love. And when we establish love with people in our lives while they're in the living and they leave the world, we still have that connection. So those of you that have loved ones close to you, that you want to pull them closer to you and they're in the spirit world, just sit in stillness and quiet and ask them to come and be with you, and I guarantee you, you'll feel them there. Okay? I want you to understand that, because that's the most important thing about this kind of work that I do, is that I want people to understand that Spirit is always there. They're not there to scare us, although this place can be a little scary sometimes. When I walked through here and we did that filming, I was like, oh, God, this place is unbelievable. But I want you to understand that they're there, and they're always they want to help you and they want to assist you. And even though they are not in this modus operandi that we call the human body anymore, their consciousness is still out there. And they're going to stay close to you, and they want to be close to you. So I want to make sure that you understand that. All right? I don't